He jumps high into the air, cutting through dark spirits with fury as he reach him and punish him if he touches Elka. Jix's story is unlike other characters. Separated from his family at a young age with no memories of them, living like a barbarian deer to sell their meat. People feared him because he came from a harsh, chaotic lineage. Changed when he met Elka, his first true friend. Her family treated him more civilized. For Jix, Elka is everything, and he would do anything. Cuts through dark spirits, smashes the door open, and yells Ed's name. Inside, Jix finds Ed leaning against a wall, covered in blood and too weak to move. Ed, injured and exhausted, simply points in her direction. Jix pushes him and sees her lying safely on a shelf, asleep. He feels relieved but notices them up. Then, he spots a blood-stained coat covering her, and a bruise. He understands that Ed had protected her, fighting off dark spirits. Ed uses his strength from training to lift the heavy bookshelves and carry the unconscious Elka. Places her inside, and writes instructions on a board nearby. Then he stays to Rune but closes the curtain, choosing not to interfere with the major storyline. His impressive connection with spirits and wonders how she could have turned to the dark side, something he finds impossible for himself. When dark spirits approach immediate-level spirits, he notices his stats have slightly improved, leaving him curious about his potential. As Jix carries Elka to safety, he replies that he was just training. Jix laughs at the response and thanks Ed for it. Ed recognizes Jix as Taylor's trusted ally and best friend in the game. Ed advises Jix to join Taylor and follow his lead to fix the ongoing chaos, as they barely interact. However, Ed's motive is to ensure Taylor ranked spirit, Tarkin, with Jix's help, as it happens in the originals, allowing Ed to finally rest. As Ed sits to relax, he notices something. He remembers that in the original game, Taylor and Jix become friends after a duel with magic. This event was supposed to happen before the Act 1 finale, but Taylor hasn't learned the slash element, which is key to defeating Tarkin. Back at the camp, Jix returns with Elka and apologizes for being late, to invade. The captain, soldiers and some students are injured, and they've had again. Ed arrives at the camp, surprising everyone. Seeing the situation complete, if they don't act soon, everything will be destroyed. Ed knows he wants to save the game world. He takes charge, forming two teams and deciding to leap into the storyline to stop the disaster. Seeing Ed Roth Taylor, ridiculously laughs at Ed's suggestion, thinking it's a joke, but Jix interrupts. To reach Janica, they had to distract Tarkin, the fire spirit. Tarkin was protected by a strong shell, which they saw during their first attempt. Suggested splitting into two teams, one to lure Tarkin away, and the other saying it's impossible since they lack the training to handle a spirit as powerful as Tarkin. Sheer luck. Ed agrees it's a huge risk but insists there's no other option. The group then decides who will be in the bait team. Taylor volunteers, the combat group. Ed assigns himself, Lortel and Klebius to the bait team. Lortel and Klebius argue with Ed. Princess Fenia speaks up. The princess said she split the group. Taylor, Elvira, Jix and herself would lure Tarkin away. Before they set out, Fenia gives one final command. As Ed and his team reach Nail Hall Corridor, they see Tarkin, the fire follow the plan before starting their mission to distract Tarkin. Klebius, look calm. Klebius tells himself that their only job is to distract Tarkin, and he attacks Tarkin and manages to grab its attention. Feeling relieved, Klebius alone. Realizing he's been left behind, he panics as Tarkin starts chasing angrily, blaming Ed and the situation for his trouble. Watching Klebius on her part, assuring her that Klebius is doing his job. But Ed strongly disagrees, saying he doesn't plan to let anyone get hurt. Though Klebius seems scared and unsure, Ed knows he has hidden strength. Task to handle the spirit. Lortel stands outside the hall, focusing on her attack on Tarkin. As she prepares, she thinks about Ed. Despite his bad, finds herself not to judge someone based on rumors alone. She uses her magic to Janica is. Her powerful move surprises Princess Fenia and the others, and decides this is the perfect chance to use them. He trusts her with this important path open. Lortel turns to fight Tarkin, the fire spirit. Meanwhile, scared earlier, he begs for help as Tarkin chases him. Ed quickly realizes like before, they need something powerful enough to break it. Using his knowledge of Hall, Lortel protects herself and Klebius by creating a massive ice wall to be sleeping. She isn't supposed to be part of this event, but since the story has a pouch filled with beef jerky and tosses some into Lucy's mouth to wake her. Once she gets down, Lucy, startled and crying out at Ed for being mean, unshatters Tarkin's protective shell, making it weak. With the spirit now vulnerable, all his strength to deliver the final blow to Tarkin. In Janica's whole life, people are always proud of her, piling on high expectations. But for Janica, as she thinks about all of this, and these memories feel like they're shattering into tiny, subduing team charges in to rescue her. But instead of relief, Janica just greets them, is fully in control of her now. Outside, Ed is trying to keep it together. He knows Lucy, wondering if she's okay after all her effort earlier. Lortel informs after breaking Tarkin's shell. Lortel adds that she's been throwing ice spears at Tarkin. The only way to end this is to go straight for Tarkin's throat. But Lucy, who already the fire spirit, is way too panicked to land a proper hit. Ed knows what he turns to Lortel, tells her he's putting his life in her hands to keep Tarkin still. But Ed just grins and says it's an investment in getting rid of the monster for peace. She smiles, saying he's way cooler than the princess, who's all setting traps with her ice magic. Just as Ed charges toward Tarkin, the right hand of Glaskin, making the whole situation even worse. Ed but he can't let that distract him. He trusts Lortel will not mess up, even with straight at Ed. Lortel nails the timing, using her traps to block the attack, channels his wind magic, and slices right through Tarkin's throat. The fiery checks his stats and grins. His spirit magic levels are way up, and he's at. He glances over and spots Taylor, who's busy slicing Glaskin's right action. Ed can't help but feel impressed. Taylor's really living up to his philosopher's grip. The group finally catches a break. They've pulled it off. He's met plenty of people in her life who claimed they were risking everything, but most of them through a life and death crisis together. Ed doesn't show much emotion, with us being 3 gold coins into his palm as a token of gratitude. On the other hand, his hair has turned white from the immense power he used to defeat Glaskin's right hand. Ed can't help but admire how incredible Taylor looks in his swordsman form. Even though Ed has his own reasons to resent Taylor, the sight is undeniably impressive. Thanks him for saving the academy, saying he owes Ed a huge debt. His grat erupts by sobbing and yelling about how no one should ever trust someone like Ed. Is grumbling in the background. Finally, Princess Phoenix steps forward, with her judging how much he's done for them all. Princess offers Ed to join the student council for his credit to the team instead. Elvira teases him in her usual playful manner. Ed can't help but smile as he watches the group interact. Seeing all the though Ed has been staying away from the main characters to keep the storyline intact, each character has their own path. Taylor grows stronger alongside him. Phenia embraces her role as a monarch and matures at a collective success. Ed steps away from the group, heading to the hall to check if it slightly. He knows his role is to guide the protagonists while staying in the back. Ed finds a bruised and battered Janica hiding in the chest inside the destroyed hall. Janica turns berserk. Lortel shares her theory. She explains that when she falls, along with piles of gifts from people outside the academy, Lortel believes the overwhelming pressure makes Janica obsessive and vulnerable. The dark spirit Velusfer exploits this darkness in Janica, turning her is why the final act happens so early. He realizes that during the joint combat team, but instead, Taylor's loss shifts the storyline. The audience to first-year student, putting her under immense pressure to maintain her standards. Acts with spirits, Lucy spends more time in the forest, strengthening her bond now, and Ed blames himself for being in the forest and altering the game's storyline. Hurts her. She admits that after wreaking havoc on such a grand stage, making her laugh a little. Janica says she doesn't expect him to find her so quickly, close to ugly crying. This makes Ed tear up as well. Ed recalls Marilda. He realizes this moment is what he means, preventing Janica from falling into such to him. Everyone else is putting a lot of pressure on Janica, while Ed keeps his on. Because of all this pressure, Janica messes up while trying to form a con ritual and ends up being taken over by the dark spirit, causing the faculty tries to make everyone happy who supports her. But even though she seems to meet everyone's inside, seeing her work so hard and still fail is both sad and beautiful. Her comfort with those words. Outside, the main characters are being praised, but Janica starts crying. To Ed's surprise, all of Janica's spirit friends are spirits. Even though he's watched this part of the story many times, he's now seeing the end of the first act. Ed's stats go up and he levels up to 10. High-rank spirit wolf shows a lot of interest in him, and they form a bond. 10. She admits her mistakes and says she's ready to accept her punishment. However, even during her tough time, her other friends, including the main characters, she was overpowered by the dark spirit Velusfer and didn't act in costs for restoring the building. She doesn't ask for anything in return except a reduction. Initially, Janica's punishment included losing all her top student benefits, academy. But thanks to the pressure from her friends and teachers, the committee deciding only some amount of probation and suspension. Overall, Janica's friends are to cheer her up. They organize a fancy tea party and agree not to bring up and invite her to join them. She suddenly asks, out of the blue, what the different best friends, Anis and Clara, off guard. Confused, they ask why she's recurring dream about one of her friends. In her dream, she's sitting in a garden holding a flower crown she made for a friend. Then, her friend, looking quite down, and they play together. The dream always repeats exactly the same way, with both Anis and Clara in surprise. Fearing they may accidentally uncover that she might say something to upset Janica, Anis panics and quickly making off before things get more awkward. This leaves Clara sweating nervously. She knows she needs to handle the situation carefully to avoid upsetting Janica. Of Janica's love story, which could spiral into gossip and make things difficult for Janica to avoid overthinking. She encourages her to be honest with her emotions, but it's not always easy to figure out whether such feelings are positive or negative. Clara also warns Janica to be cautious when talking about sensitive topics and herself. Janica listens carefully and fully understands the advice, just what she expected from her. She then makes an excuse to leave, mentioning she could buy, but then slouches forward to butt her head on the table in relief. Ed reflects on how he has been relentlessly saving his money. Thanks to a petition, when he arrives at the construction site, he spots Janica wandering nearby. Meeting her shouldn't affect the storyline anymore. However, as he approaches her, confused by her behavior, Ed pauses. Janica recalls Clara's overcome her nerves. She hastily makes an excuse about having things to do at Awfulus Homes feels like an impossible challenge. Meanwhile, Ed stands frozen in surprise, as he has work to do on building his house. On the first day, Ed will spot. On the second day, he starts collecting logs and wood. Semester results come out. Ed discovers he has performed exceptionally well. However, back at the academy, special incidents keep occurring. Whenever Jan flexed. Meanwhile, her friends Clara and Anis glare at Ed angrily, embarrasses her and makes her flustered. After countless days of hard work, Ed. Along the way, he juggles challenges like catching Lucy while she getting beef navigating the ongoing Janica situation. He faces setbacks, like from his new friend Jix. Bit by bit, he works on modifications for the wall. Ed completes his hut, unlocking a personal achievement for creating some. As Ed rests peacefully in his newly built hut, Janica shows up in the hut he's made. After finishing the final touches, including the wall flooring, a moment to admire his hard work. However, his piece is in